Manchester United are closer to the relegation zone than they are to the top 7 spots up for European competition. With only a measly 23 points so far from their first 20 league games, everyone is giving their 2 cents about United getting relegated, and dare I say, we have some steaming hot takes from those who know the game better than us. This is how football legends really feel about Man United getting relegated. So we all know December 2024 was one of the worst months ever in Manchester United's history. Ruben Amorim's first full month in charge came with 6 defeats, which left us scratching our heads and wondering what the heck was going on. But after seeing United's performance in the 2-2 draw away at Anfield, former United captain Roy Keane has come to the conclusion that one of United's biggest problems is inconsistency.
You can't just pick and choose when you want to turn up for a game at Man United and have passion today. But when you're a senior player, the key is to turn up for every game with that passion and that quality. And they showed the quality today. And I don't think anyone would have predicted Man United probably certainly scoring 2 goals today and nearly won it at the end. They've got to turn up with the same attitude, the same level of performance, the same fighting spirit, and then you've got a chance of winning matches.
According to Keane, although the Red Devils looked encouraging and could have won the game if Harry Maguire buried that pass from Xerxes, they have to replicate such performances against other teams, especially the lesser ones. That in itself would go a long way in helping the club avoid any sort of relegation battle. But let's hear what the manager himself has to say about United's current situation. When Ruben Amorim first arrived at the Old Trafford dugout, he made it clear that as manager, he was responsible for whatever results they got, whether good or bad. Amorim reiterated that the Red Devils faithful were tired of excuses, and that maybe the club's relegation threat was a good thing because it would provide the shock they needed to turn their fortunes around.
I'm responsible. I don't like to arrive here and make excuses. I think people are tired of excuses in this club, and I think sometimes I talk about relegation because of that. I think our club needs a shock, you know?
Let's be honest, it would definitely be a shock if Manchester United somehow managed to get relegated this season. I mean, it's almost unthinkable that they could be playing football in the Championship. The last time that happened was at the end of the 1973 and 74 season, which is literally half a century ago. And for this reason, former Crystal Palace owner Simon Jordan didn't think it was appropriate for Amorim to talk about Man United in that light. Jordan argues that Amorim's comments about United being in a relegation battle in December weren't exactly what he was alluding to, simply because United are way bigger than your typical relegation teams. However, Jordan felt like Amorim might have been trying to prove a point that the players were simply not good enough for the brand of football that he was bringing to the club.
What do you make of that, Simon? I mean, Manchester United in a relegation battle, the R word.
I don't think that's quite what he was saying. I think you can't use the word relegation when you're sitting in the Man United dugout. So probably, ultimately, the fact that he mentioned it wasn't really what he was alluding to. He's paring it back. He's taking a jack plane to Manchester United and pairing it back to the position that he wants it to, and there's going to be some casualties. And he said at the beginning that there was going to be some suffering. I don't know whether he's auditioning players to prove the point to the board that the squad that he's got isn't capable of achieving what they want to achieve, and they're going to have to accept there's going to have to be a fire sale and a wholesale set of changes, and people are going to have to take a view on the commerciality of buying players out of contracts and selling them at discounted prices to be able to clear the decks, to be able to rebuild from the ground up. I don't know if that's his point. It's a risky strategy if that's what it is.
But before facing Manchester United, Liverpool manager Arne Slot admitted that he thought United had much better players who just needed time to get the best out of them. The Liverpool manager was adamant that United was way too good for their position on the league table, and that it didn't make sense to take anything at face value. Slot does not doubt that United are going to climb out of the bottom half in the coming weeks. Here's how he puts it.
I said it before the first fixture, and I can say it one more time, that they have much better players, in my opinion, than maybe the league table shows at the moment, and I think it's going to take a while maybe for Ruben Amorim to bring this out of the players. I don't know, but they will definitely go up, and they are much better than the league table shows at the moment.
When we asked the players themselves, there was no doubt that they had total faith in the manager. Speaking on Sky Sports, United defender Harry Maguire, who has actually put in a couple of decent performances this season, says that it's only a matter of time before things turn around for the club. Unlike many others, Maguire isn't hitting the panic button just yet. Instead, he's focused on getting the best out of himself and his teammates. It has always amazed football fans to see how Manchester United legends continue to be passionate about the club. For many of them, it seems to be the product of the values instilled in them by the legendary Sir Alex Ferguson. Just a few weeks back, Cristiano Ronaldo shared his thoughts about the club. Cristiano thinks that the culture at Old Trafford has changed a lot since his first stint at United, and he believes that the current environment does not encourage growth. According to CR7, the problem isn't with the manager because he's a serial winner. Instead, it's due to deep-rooted structural problems that need fixing.
I say this 1 year and a half ago, and I will continue to say, the problem is not the coaches. It's like, I'm always give this example, I will try right now to see if it's going well. It's like the Aquarius. If you have the fishing inside and he's sick and you take him out and you fix the problem, and if you put it again in Aquarius, they will be sick again. And this is the problem of Manchester United, is the same. The problem is not only the coach, it's much more than that.
Speaking on Monday Night Football a couple of weeks ago, United legend Gary Neville shared his concerns about his former club. Neville reckons that it's taking United too long to turn their fortunes around, and that judging from a historical standpoint from the last 10 years, he's not entirely convinced that Manchester United can flip the script.
But it does feel like, Gary, there's almost like a general assumption that this will come good, that the club has to go through more short-term pain, but everything's going to be fine in the end. Are you convinced that this system will deliver the success that Manchester United and their fans so desperately crave?
No, I don't think any of us can be convinced, Dave, with what's happened in the last 10 years, and there's not seen enough yet to think that it could be any different.
However, after seeing the club's recent performances against Liverpool in the league and Arsenal in the FA Cup, it's pretty much safe to say that Gary Neville might be having a change of heart because the squad has been putting a lot more pep in their steps. Elsewhere, Liverpool legend Jamie Carragher argues that while Amorim has brought more stability, control, and possession to the squad, he thinks that Man United needs to carry more threat when going forward.
There's more possession, but there's no threat at all. And that will have to change in the future, of course, but
if they want their fortunes to turn around. But perhaps no one has been left frustrated more than United's captain, Bruno Fernandes. Seeing his club's resilience against Liverpool just the other day left Bruno a bit frustrated at the fact that neither he nor his teammates could reproduce such quality week in and week out. Fernandes agrees that Manchester United have earned the criticisms that they've gotten and that all the talks about relegation are justified, considering their position on the table.
I'm pretty upset because if we show this today here at Anfield against Liverpool, that is first in the league, that is being probably the outstanding team in the Premier League this season, why we can't do this every week, and it frustrates me for first.
However, going forward, the captain is eager to set the bar high with regard to consistency at the highest level. Here's what Bruno says.
Well, Bruno, this Man United team has been widely criticised and, to be honest, completely written off before today. How about that for a response?
No, obviously criticised unfairly because the position in the table says that oh, we lost too many points. Even today, we can't be happy with the draw because we need points more than they need, to be honest. And
but let's face it, despite what the former players and pundits think, it is hard to see the club getting relegated, and we might just have the stats to back it up. OptaStats have been super helpful at times in making predictions. In one of the latest 10,000 simulations conducted by the supercomputer, United only got relegated just 0.15% of the time. This essentially means that only in 15 instances out of a possible 10,000 did Manchester United actually get relegated. Why? While there's no precedent for these prediction models to latch onto, as United has never found itself involved in a relegation battle in recent history, there are other metrics to piggyback off of. Recent performances and upcoming opposition are strong indicators of what the future might look like. And if it comes down to a fight for survival, we could have an idea of what to expect. United began 2025 14th on the table, which is an all-time low because the club has never previously started a year lower than 7th in the Premier League. United have also been averaging just over 0.9 points per game under amorim. If they were to continue picking up points at that rate for the rest of the season, Manchester United would find themselves with 39 points, which hasn't always guaranteed safety. But honestly, all of this is from a pessimistic standpoint. On the bright side, United have a 7-point cushion towards the bottom of the table. And we know that by default, relegation teams are less likely to pick up points as fast as the teams above them. No team in a 38-game Premier League season has ever found themselves 7 points ahead of the drop zone on New Year's Day and gotten relegated. So if that were to happen, it would be one of the lowest points in Manchester United history. Taking everything into consideration, it is highly unlikely we see Manchester United getting relegated this season. Although we are already past the halfway mark, you do not need to look too far into the future to see that Manchester United can still compete for silverware at the cup level and finish well inside the top half of the table. The last 2 games against Liverpool and Arsenal have seen the club play like a proper team, and it's only a matter of time before the concerns about relegation disappear entirely and for good. But what are your thoughts about Manchester United, and where do you reckon they finish in the league table this season?